episode of Voices. Today we have our guest, Dominic Williams, president of iSpy Instrumental Sterile Processing Institute. And we're glad to have him on the show today. He's going to tell you guys a little bit about his life and how he got to be inspiration that he is today. So let's welcome Dominic to the show. Oh boy. So welcome, brother. Welcome, brother. So nothing's perfect in life. So
Nah,
we already know that. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for making the time. So guys, welcome. Dominic, thank you for coming on to the show. I really appreciate your time. I know you from Stellar Processing Circles. Can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and where you grew up?
first of all, I just want to thank you for reaching out to me to even be on this platform and to share this space with you. Um, I also want to thank you for all you do and all you and your partner, Alessandra, and just being a voice and being a voice that needs to be heard. So kudos to y'all.
Thank you,
Um,
brother. Appreciate
yeah,
it. Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
no problem. But my name is Dominic Williams. Um, I am the CEO and co-owner of Instrumental Style Processing Institute. I am from Camden, New Jersey. I lived in Camden all my life. I'm 28 years old. Only time I didn't live in Camden was the year I did in college. I had went to Morgan State University in Baltimore. I did a year there. Got a little homesick and honestly couldn't afford it. So I dropped out of school, college, and just made my way back home. When I got home, trying to figure out what to do next, and kind of got caught up in everyday life, just settling and not doing some of the things I know I should or could be doing. Ended up going into a little depression, and my aunt who did 7 years in prison, she actually exposed me to sterile processing because she was actually in school for it. And it was crazy because a week later, I seen a commercial on TV for a sterile processing school. So me, I'm just big on signs. I had went out, reached out to the school, and when I went to visit the school, one of the instructors was one of my grandfather's, good friends and whatnot. So for me, that was just another sign for me to just feel comfortable with the situation. He kind of took me under the wing and just embraced me, and I felt comfortable with sterile process. Well, I felt comfortable with the school and the situation I was in. I honestly, when I was in school, I didn't even know what I was in school for. I just know it was similar to surgical tech, and it was something I had to do with working in healthcare. That's all I really knew. And still going through school. While I was going through school, I was and working two jobs and going to school all in the same day. So my days would sometimes start at about 5 o'clock in the morning, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and went into about I would say 9, 10 o'clock sometimes. I was on public transportation for about a year and a half. So that was a little struggle in itself. But for the most part, I would say I come from a great family, and I'm forever grateful for my family, and I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for my family. So that's a little bit about me.
Bringing it back a little bit, how was that interaction with you and your aunt? who was in prison. How did she influence you to start doing something different?
Um, Honestly, it was just like it was something that I've never heard of. It was something that she was actually, you know, doing, and it was like, oh well, if she can do this, then I can do this too. Because it's like, I'm not saying that people with records or people that go to prison are bad people or can't work or whatever, but it was like, oh, it was just one of those things like, oh, if she could do this and she got a record, why can I do this? So it was one of those things, and I knew it was in the healthcare. I didn't know exactly what it was, and I just have a passion for helping people.
How long have you been in the field you're in right now, currently?
Sterile processing. I've been in sterile processing almost 8 years, so about 7 years and some change.
So can you tell us a little bit about situation that resonates with you, that you've helped someone that really needed help, in the field? Give us an example of something you want to share that would inspire others to do the same thing.
Sterile processing. I know one of my best things was when I worked at a trauma center, and every time a baby was delivered, you hear like the little noise or the sound go over on the pager. And just knowing I had a part and playing a part, and that OR delivering that baby, making sure they had processed trays, and just me also being from Camden, New Jersey, which is considered one of the most dangerous cities in the country. Um, and just being integral and being able to play a part in saving lives by sterilizing these instruments for these people that I know, like people that either got in car accidents, fights, gunshots, whatever the case may be. Because there's been plenty of times where I knew the person I was picking the case for, and it was just like, oh, okay, it's this. I'm really instrumental to this person's life, this life or whatnot. So I honestly just took heed and just tried to make the best of it and do my best as long as and maintain my integrity at all times. That's one of the main things I try to deal with, and that's honestly how I did it.
Can you tell us a little bit about, you said you had a down point, a little depression. Can you walk us through that, how you got through that? Let people know that are going through the same thing right now, that there's something better on the other side.
Well, one thing first, I just want to let everybody know life is just a roller coaster. There's going to be some ups, there's going to be some downs, there's going to be some ups, there's going to be some downs. And I think it should be like that. If it's just good all the time or just bad all the time, that's like you kind of flatline. Like it's no life. You're not living. Right? So I really just try to, do how can I say this? Show up. That's whatever you want to do. Show up. Be consistent with it. And just how can I say this? Just just keep going. Like I don't know. I don't want it to sound cliche or whatever the case may be, but one of the main things I learned during the depression or not knowing what to do next, not knowing how to reach out to people, not knowing or think you don't want people thinking you soft or you crying as a man, and things like that. You just don't, coming from where we come from, you don't know how to deal with all of that. Especially at 28, having a school, because people put you on this pedestal and it's, oh, you got a school and whatnot, but people don't understand, like, this is literally, I have a great team and I'm forever grateful, but it's like you got to kind of sacrifice everything for a dream nobody could say, see but you initially. And sometimes you feel alone. Sometimes you like, man, I can't do this. But I'm telling you, man, that's nothing but some growing pains. I'm telling you that you have to keep going. That's the secret. One thing I've learned over these last 5 years, I would say, I've had a good year, and then now I'm having depression. Had a good year, and now I'm being fired from a job. And so it was always like ups and downs. And honestly, I learned to embrace the journey. Like, all right, I've been through this. What can I learn from it? Not kind of being the victim and like, oh, why me? Is always me. But what can I learn from it? This thing keep happening for a reason. So it's like, do I have to change the approach? Do I have to go see a therapist? Do I have to, whatever I got to do? And it's not easy, especially as a black man coming from where I come from. It's just like, who do I even go to for some of these things? And I had to really just dig deep and spend a lot of time with myself and just find out like, who am I? And to anybody, when you're in those down moments and you feel like you can't think forward, backwards, frontwards, you just can't think straight, really just spend more time with yourself and just really get to know, what you do like, what you don't like, what triggers you, and just different things like that. Because when you realize that and you understand certain things, you can use it to be more intelligent. And they call that like emotional intelligence and, things like that. But, we don't have the best communication skills as men, to be honest. So especially when it comes to expressing our feelings. So anybody, man, it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay there. It's okay to see a therapist. It doesn't make you crazy, but not seeing one eventually will. So I'm just at this point, I'm just trying to be more vulnerable about it. One of the best things I've ever did was get my dad to go see a therapist. And my dad's been in the streets his whole life, even whatever his whole life, and it's just like, man, to get him to go to a therapist and things like that is just like that was. And he's like coming to me sharing some of his stories and things like that, his experiences with the therapist. It's a beautiful feeling. It's a beautiful feeling.
So you mentioned one critical thing in your soliloquy about coming out of your depression phase. You spoke about having a team. How did you go about building your team, and how does that impact you in terms of helping you grow? How does your team that you've helped create, how do they impact you or help you out as a person or as a professional?
Honestly, well, starting with Shantae, my business partner, right? We just come from two totally different worlds, so it's like we have different perspectives, and it's great because we work together. It's like a balance. Like I'm more like stern when it comes to certain things, and she's like, no, look at it from this perspective. Maybe this is the case, maybe that's the case. So it kind of gives you that balance. Um, with Danny, same thing. We come from almost two different worlds, but just having his perspective and just his creativity and things like that, it just makes everything go so much better. Same thing with Jen and just everyone that's on my team. Shout out to my team. One of the main things I did to just develop a strong team was honestly pray, man. Like I can't, I don't even know. I don't know how this happened, honestly, to just create such a strong team. It was just like one of those things I really wanted. I've always tried to be a part like of teams or bring people together or kind of be like a connector or a middleman to make things happen. Like honestly, to you, I didn't even want to start a school. I tried to get somebody else to start a school and I can help them. So it's just it's just I guess me at this point. But yeah, it was crazy.
So how has the input put you on the right track? Give us an
Um,
example of when you were going left and they helped you, you know,
so I'm
help
gonna be,
direct you to the right way.
I'm gonna just be transparent. Like recently, uh, you know, sales are down, numbers ain't what we expecting, and things like that. And I'm like, I had some things I needed help with, and I honestly just didn't feel comfortable going to my team. Um, but when I did, it was the best thing that ever I could have did. You know, opened up more resources, more people thinking to figure out a solution for whatever the problem is. And um, honestly, I've been practicing more transparent leadership. Like, hey guys, I don't have it all figured out. This is kind of what I wanted to do. if you can help me bring this together or bring it to life, or if you got ideas, like I'm more receptive to just the criticism, the answers, the solutions, and things like that now. And it's made me a better communicator. It's making me realize, it's not always about me, and that's okay. Is regardless of how things go or what you may think about certain things, it's you have a team, right? And they have people that's dependent on them, and we have students that have kids that's dependent on them. So sometimes you just got to remove yourself from the equation. What's best for the team, and that's probably been one of the hardest things to do, because I've been so independent to where I kind of did everything myself. Like I was one of those people where it's like, if you want it done right, do it yourself. But it's like I have a team now, so it's a great feeling when I can just be able to go to them for anything at this point. And our even all of our relationships have grown over the year or past year and a half, and that's one of the main things I'm most proud of right now is our team. So
And shout out to your team.
yes.
Yeah, you definitely, got some good folks around you to help guide you. Um, so
One
what's your biggest setback? How did you get out of one of your biggest, disappointments?
Well, one of the main things I had an issue with was just the lack of integrity when it comes to processing instruments, and that's kind of the reason we've developed iSpy, is to just really provide quality techs that maintain the highest level of integrity. Um, you know, that's going to stand their ground.
So how have you been able to help those techs develop integrity, do
Okay.
better than those persons you saw before you? How are you guys able to help those techs and make them better?
Um, so we do a lot of hands-on. We have small sterilizers and things. We try to simulate as much as we can. We offer professional development to where they're learning how to, well, one, they're building their resumes and cover letters. They're learning how to interview. They're learning how to kind of beat the algorithm to get the interviews. They're just learning so many different hard and soft skills, so it's like making them more confident. So when they do have these interviews and they are in the department, oh, not to mention we also do 50 instruments. We want all of our students to, by the time they graduate the program, to know at least 50 instruments. So when you do see some of these instruments, you don't have as much anxiety because you've seen some of these before. You might not be able to say the name, but once you start putting the instrument with the count sheet, it's going to click like, oh, this what this is. And then so just offering as much hands-on as possible.
I definitely think that's a great value you guys bring in.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, what would you tell someone who's watching this video 50 years from now and seeing this? What would you want them to know about Dominic Williams?
Dominic Williams just wanted to inspire people. Dominic Williams just wanted to help people, and really just help people by inspiring them to, one, be themselves, two, be more vulnerable and transparent, three, just lead by example, and just be the change you want to see. Honestly, um, another thing I want them to remember about me is, um, Dominique was a man of the people. Dominique understood, it was way bigger than him, and honestly, that's really what I want to be remembered. Um, just that I help people and that I understood it was bigger than me, and I hopefully lived that out.
And the show being voices, I like that. I like that. And the show being voices, what inspirational quote, comment, phrase you'd want to leave to somebody who's listening or watching this 50 years from now? What somebody that needs a little bit of inspiration, what would you tell them to get them out of a slump, to get them going?
Don't wait until you're confident to show up, but keep showing up until you're confident.
Oh,
So, a lot of times we think we got to have it all figured out. We got to have all the money we need or all the information we need to get started. When in reality, we just got to get started. You know, um, Trying to have everything figured out before you get started, you kind of going to paralyze yourself or put more pressure or anxiety on yourself. So it's just like start where you just get started with whatever you got. Don't focus so much on building a brick wall, but focus on laying that brick perfectly, one brick at a time. And before you know it, you'll look up and that wall will be right there. So just be consistent and keep going.
I I definitely agree with that. Those are good words because sometimes you wait for the right circumstances and then you just keep waiting and waiting and waiting and time is passing by where you could have learned through time how to get better instead of waiting for the right time.
It's never the right time. We got to make the right time.
Yeah,
We
true.
got to create those situations or
Yeah,
opportunities. And you can't do it by just being on social media or not actually moving or not actually taking initiative. So
yeah, yeah. You definitely have to move. So, anything else you want to share with the audience about Dominic Williams and I Spy? How can people contact you if they're interested in your school,
right.
interested in speaking to you? What information would you give out to
If you're interested in learning more or registering, please visit our website at www.ispi.us. And, just schedule your free information session so we can do a deep dive into everything. Tell you a little bit about style processing, tell you a little bit about our program. Pros and cons, and the cost, tuition, things like that. If you're interested in registering, you can do that also on the website. If you have any questions, please give us a call at 856-209-2280. But I'm looking forward to, some of these information sessions and meeting you all.
All right. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. And
Yep.
thank you for making the time to come on the show. Really appreciate it. So, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you, Dominic. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Appreciate you,
Yep.
brother.
Thank you.
And peace.
Peace, man. Have a good one.